Would you like to receive the title of the most reliable news source of our office and always be treated with coffee and pastries? Then I'll share the secret. Welcome to Stop Fake.
Watch this.
Recently, in the Chinese publication Asia Times, an article appeared claiming that the war in Ukraine demonstrated that NATO's military concepts are allegedly flawed and outdated. The author confidently discusses significant losses of equipment and manpower of Ukraine's part. They suggest that the equipment provided by NATO member countries as assistance is ineffective against the modernized Russian army. The content of this article bears a striking resemblance to an expanded narrative coming from Russia.
At the NATO summit, a lot of foreign equipment was promised for the Ukrainian armed forces. We already have experience in destroying equipment like Leopards and Abrams. We will destroy all of their equipment.
There is no much confidence in the words of this baby soldier. The armed forces successfully destroy invaders thanks to modern Western equipment. Allies significantly bolstered the air defense system, which operates on various fronts.
The best one is the IRIST complex of German production. It's the newest model we received. The radar is excellent. Our anti-aircraft gunners told me that it can spot a small sparrow. It can distinguish it from 100 kilometers away.
The goal of such informational fakes is to persuade Ukraine's partner countries to seize military aids. However, these tactics don't work on those who continue to support Ukraine.
The United States stands with Ukraine, and we're going to be with them for the long haul. This fight matters to the free world. The U.S. is always going to be on the side of democracy, and as the Ukrainians continue to show grit and strength in the face of Putin's aggression.
Watch this.
All right, and then about puppet theaters and conspiracy theories. But is there any truth? In the United States, misinformation has been spread claiming that the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, is not an independent figure. Retired U.S. Army Colonel Douglas McGregor made these statements on Judge Napolitano's YouTube channel. He alleges that there are backrooms discussions in Washington on how to hide the scale of the disaster and remove Zelensky to restore relations with Russia.
In the past, we have simply packed our things and left. We did that in Vietnam. I think we did that in Afghanistan. We've done that, I think, for the most part in Iraq, though we've left some people there to maintain the fiction that we have some measure of influence in that country, which I don't think we do. But the bottom line is it's over, and the sooner they get Zelensky out of the way, they can come to some sort of arrangement with the Russians.
The text from McGregor aligned too much with the publications of the aggressor country, to which he seems favorably disposed. Like parrots, they tirelessly repeat that President Volodymyr Zelensky supposedly follows orders from his Western masters. Now, according to propagandists, the United States wants to remove him. Traitors to Ukraine are being involved in promoting these false claims.
These Americans are the bosses there. When they decide to remove Zelensky, they will remove him. They'll remove Zaluzny without any problems, and no army will oppose these replacements.
The Russian information attack is ongoing. This was stated by Ukrainian intelligence. They revealed that in Russia, the first deputy head of the Russian president's administration, Sergei Kiriyenko, is traditionally responsible for implementing the most extensive economic psychological operations against Ukraine.
This is not a single topic. It is a parallel strengthening of a number of conflict events within the country. This is the strengthening of internal disagreements using traditional Russian and propaganda narratives.
Watch this.
People are living shields. Who and where actually uses its own people like this? Amnesty International stated in its report that Ukrainian military is endangering civilians' population by establishing bases and deploying weapon systems in residential areas. They claim that Ukraine is violating international humanitarian law by turning civilian objects into military targets. Who knows? Perhaps such thoughts in official documents were spurred by Russian propagandists. They claim that the Ukrainian armed forces are using the civilian population as human shields. They allege that Ukrainian military hide their equipment among residential areas and fire from there.
Formations of the Kyiv regime do not know how to fight without civilians. The armed forces of Ukraine retreated from positions that were outside the city limits. That is, they went into their usual habitat. Residential areas, multi-story buildings, dense residential buildings.
After such statements, the outrage over falsehood could escalate to the highest level. Multiple times, through video and photo evidence and testimonies, it has been proven that it's Russia attacking innocent civilians, while the Ukrainian military defends them, often at the cost of their own lives. This was also highlighted by the European Commission in response to Amnesty International's report.
Whatever happens in Ukraine is a direct consequence of the illegitimate, unjustified and unprovoked aggression by Russia, which is killing Ukrainian civilians, destroying Ukrainian civilian infrastructure, making targets from people, pensioners, women, children, hospitals, train stations.
Residents of the southern regions of Ukraine, currently occupied by the aggressor state, are being used by Russian military forces as a human shields in the battlefield. Multi-story residential buildings in these areas are being utilized as a platform for their criminal activities.
Pressing terror. This is what the enemy continues to do in the territory of the temporarily occupied South. Today, we see searches, occupation of houses, apartments, and the addition of a large number of Russian soldiers to our residence. This is characteristic of both Melitopol and cities located closer to the front line.
A country that actively promotes the importance of spiritual growth in individuals doesn't hesitate to use children's lives to achieve its goals. In the spring, the Lithuanian Seimas stated that Russia intends to use children as a human shield during the counteroffensive of the Ukrainian armed forces. To do so, they are attempting to organize group tours for minors from different countries to the temporarily occupied Ukrainian Crimea.
This is done for two purposes. One, of course, to try to make the impression that Crimea is not a legitimate part of the Russian Federation and to try to deny the fact of occupation. But the main goal at the moment is much more cynical, to bring as many live shield, children, hostages as possible before the upcoming counterattack operation of the Ukrainian military, which will undoubtedly be an occupied Crimean peninsula.
Watch this.
And at the end, the story about 3 countries and 1 war. In Ukraine, a proxy war is underway. This is reported by the American publication The Washington Post. The authors claim that the modern Russian-Ukrainian war, initiated by Russia in the heart of Europe, is not a war between 2 countries, an aggressor, Russia, and Ukraine, defending its integrity and sovereignty. The author asserts that it's a proxy war, a conflict involving a third party, namely the United States. The argument provided is the financial assistance that the US provides to Ukraine. The topic has caused a resonance. On the France 24, they even held debates on whether there is a proxy war going on in Ukraine or not. In their coverage, journalists spread the thesis of the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, in which he accuses NATO of conducting a proxy war and emphasizes that the Third World War is not far off. All this looks very much like mass hysteria, which can benefit someone immensely. Looking through these materials, one can easily identify the author behind these manipulative claims. It's the top leadership of the Russian Federation. They claimed that the attack on Ukraine was forced. They portrayed Ukraine as a poor victim defending itself from the evil collective West, which supposedly deployed NATO bases in Ukraine and planned to attack first.
The further expansion of the infrastructure of the North Atlantic Alliance and the military development of the territories of Ukraine that has begun are unacceptable for us. In the territories adjacent to us, I note, in our own historical territories, an anti-Russia hostile to us is being created. It has been placed under complete external control. is being intensively settled by the armed forces of NATO countries and is being pumped up with the most modern weapons.
No matter how many of those fake articles they publish or how many talkative videos they produce, the UN, NATO and the USA have repeatedly stated that Russia is not at war with either the USA or NATO.
Whatever they may say in Moscow, but lately we've heard a lot of lies from them. This is not some proxy war. Russia is not at war with the USA or NATO. Russia is conducting an unprovoked, illegal invasion of Ukraine, a sovereign neighboring country. Ukraine has done absolutely nothing to deserve such aggression against itself.
Watch this.
No matter how many fakes appear in our information space, we'll counter them all with proven facts. This was Stop Fake. Goodbye.